Hello, welcome to Breakfast Central. It's the second day of the week and we're in December. How time flies. I remember when it was January, but we're happy to be here as always. Good news, great things are happening. We're seeing movement here and there, but the government still needs to step up. And one thing I've also noticed is the code of conduct of government communication spokesperson. It leaves a lot to be desired. It's either they're tweeting memes of an opposition leader dancing, or they're referring to fellow journalists as clowns, or outright denial. I mean, you're not doing Nigerians a favor. You're only there for temporary time. And if you're representing the presidency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, if you're a spokesperson, there's a certain level of decorum that is needed. But we'll get there. I guess we're still a nascent democracy, as they say. 25 years. Still a baby. So compared to 200 years plus of the United States, for example. So it's a learning process and the learning curve. And as journalists, we'll continue to point them in the right direction. But away from that, you're welcome to Breakfast Central. Lagos is looking Christmassy. Even the mainland, they used to miss out on a lot of the Christmas decorations. A private company, they do beverages. They've decided to, take it upon themselves as part of the CSR to light up some parts of Lagos, the capital, Ikeja, and there's a huge Santa on a sleigh around Awolowo Road, and there's also Christmas lights. But the thing is, in Norway, it's just that what we lack now is Harmattan.
It's coming. Harmattan is coming.
Well, okay.
I think this morning it was a bit hazy.
But we need that Norwegian weather. Just like the guys in those
too much. Lagos population is too much.
Yes.
In the north, Harmattan is there already. In Sokoto already, I had a friend who had touched down in Sokoto, and he said, "Oh, it's really cold in Sokoto as it is."
Hopefully,
but it's coming. Lagos always takes time. Last year we experienced it haphazardly, if you put it that way. Yeah. It came and then went back. We're talking to Harmattan like it's a person. It came and then left. But it eventually stayed for a period of time. And shockingly, that of Lagos extends sometimes up until the end of January/February. So maybe we'll just have to be patient. But Good morning to our viewers. A beautiful morning to you. I must first of all tell Benga that I think Benga slept thinking about the communication of governance. And then he woke up. He couldn't waste time without even saying good morning to you, beautiful people. He just went straight into it. It's in the body, the pain.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, while we were talking, I was like, okay, Benga really needs to get this off his chest this morning before he actually proceeds. But then again, I mean, that shows that the passion you have for this job.
Yes.
You slept with it, you woke up with it, and you couldn't wait to get going. So it means at a certain point in your lifetime, I'm already thinking ahead in the future. I mean, hopefully life and good health. It would be nice to sit with you maybe when we're like 70 years in the old beards, and we're like, remember when we used to work in that station back then?
Good times.
Don't fret though. Olive is around. She's somewhere in the studio. She'll be joining us pretty soon. It's that December period, so we're doing a little things behind the scenes. So she's trying to get some things ready and set. She will join us. But a wake-up conversations, we need to drive and we need to start moving. Benga, big one.
We'll start off in the southwestern part of Nigeria. Melodrama played out at the First Lady's coronation when she abruptly stopped the Osun State Governor, Governor Ademola Jackson Adeleke, cautioning him not to continue singing and warning that his microphone will be switched off if he did. The moment briefly disrupted the event, leaving attendees stunned as the exchange unfolded in full view of guests and cameras. Though the ceremony quickly returned to order, the incident has since drawn the wide attention, adding that unexpected twist to an otherwise celebratory occasion. Let's take a listen.
Which kind?
So you saw that mild exchange between the governor of Osun State and the First Lady of Nigeria, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu. It was an occasion. She was given a chieftaincy title. And the governor, in his usual, is a happy-go-lucky guy. He likes to sing a lot, likes to dance, and, he was doing his thing, but she wouldn't have none of it. Like, it's my occasion. You're not going to take all this time. Please fix up. And many people have been wondering if it's disrespectful to the governor, if it's breaking of protocol, that she should, knowing the type of person he is, she should have just let him be. And others have also questioned the office of the First Lady, that is this office constitutional? The monies that are voted to this office, under what ministry, and who's accountable for it. But when we get to what Nigerians are saying, I guess we'll hear more from them. Joe, what do you make of that exchange?
Again, I stumbled on that video yesterday. I think I have a different opinion. I did hear people talk about the constitutional rights, first of all. People have taken it outside the context of just what happened. Rather, what they've simply said is the way the First Lady was talking to a, in quotes, duly elected or constitutionally elected official of the Federal Republic of Nigeria by the name of His Excellency, the Governor of Osun State. They said they didn't like it, and people said because one is elected, the other one isn't. So what powers does the First Lady have to talk down
then beyond that,
in public?
On a human-to-human level.
That's one.
Yeah.
That's one. So people have highlighted that. Secondly, people have also highlighted the fact that in terms of communication, that it didn't show any sign of respect. That even if you don't respect the person, you could respect the office. That's what people said. But I'm indifferent.
No, I mean, she also touches papers. I mean, the speech on the podium, it's not her property. What business do you have touching it? I mean, the whole thing didn't look good at all. And for VIPs, for high network individuals at that level, there should be a certain way of communicating. She shouldn't have even gone there personally. She could have sent an aide to hold a piece of paper and drop a note and move. And then he would get the message. That's what we do when we're emceeing. And we have a speaker that is...
The question is, who was the MC of that event?
It's not about the MC, it's about her conduct.
I agree.
Wasn't... Okay. It wasn't right that she disrespected him in that manner.
So you have your points, you have your opinion, but my opinion simply, like I said, is quite different. And my opinion thus, one, I think she was overseeing the entire event because it showed.
No, they're honoring you, so you should lay back, sit back, enjoy the moment.
Calm down.
You cannot oversee your own event. No.
I think she was overseeing the entire event. You could see how she was moving. That's not just the only video. She also gave a speech where she was speaking to the former First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dame Patience Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. She said, Mama P, Mama P, you don't smile now. And we could tell it was hard for Mama P to smile, which is the former wife of the former president. But she was able to, put up a smirk or a smile as well, and then stood up and gave a little bow before she sat down. My point is this, like I said, I'm seeing it differently. What I see there is I think she was more of the person who was trying to put the whole event together, because it looked pretty much so. If you watch other clips, she was up and about, she was everywhere. Secondly, my point in that video, what we saw, I think what we saw there is a communication thing that has been, I think they're close. I think they're close. I think they're close in the sense that both of them have a relationship in terms of how they talk. Okay. They relate with each other. So if you look at the way she was talking to him, I think it was a case of, like your brother, my brother, hey, what's going on? Hey, do this, do that. You could see it's just a case of, that's how I choose to say it. I was going to say it the other way, like you just mentioned, what everybody's saying, but I pushed back and said, but wait, if you know someone so close, you could talk to them and say, oh God, do quick now,
but in
this
the
your
full
song
glare
too much. I beg,
but in the full glare of cameras and the world press there. And by the way, the event was a part of commemorations to mark the 10th year anniversary on the throne of the Oni of Ife.
Absolutely.
He had a university launch, he had several events, and she was also given
a chieftaincy, title as well. Not her first.
I understand that passion.
So that's what I see. I just see a case of, oh God, your song is too much. You are saying, oh God, please do quick, I beg. Let's do this thing and go.
Will you do that?
Don't waste
your
time.
Own special day.
So it depends on how close I am with the person. If I'll give you an instance. If it were to be Olive, I would tell Olive as well, Olive, please do quick, I beg, leave this your dance, I beg, do quick. You know, we have to leave this place and so on. It may look different from you see, what we have there is the eye view of the person who was recording. And some people have also come up to say, oh, they're different.
There was a hot mic moment. We heard what she said on.
Yeah, she said, if you want, I'll switch off your microphone.
Exactly. So she was talking to him like she's talking to a worker or subordinate. You don't talk to an executive governor like that. I appreciate your efforts in trying to spin it, but that spin isn't working. She was outright disrespectful, and she's expected to conduct herself better. But let's take a listen.
Let's get the opinion of Nigerians. Let's see what they're saying very quickly on this issue. This is a long one. So I'm going to make mention here. I'm just going to summarize this. Dele Momodu, of course, you know, Chief Dele Momodu is also a chief. He has a chieftaincy title, by the way, and he has moved to the new political party, left the PDP. Here talked about his encounter with the First Lady as well, that it wasn't too good. It was a time where he met the First. I'm just summarizing so we can move on to his points. I'd like us to break down his points where he starts from 1. In this encounter, he said he had met with the First Lady, and while they were talking, that it didn't really look good. That the First Lady eventually now told him, won't you support my husband, his political ambition? And he said he can't. And then she took it up against him, and it looked like it was an outright disrespect. So he's saying that he's aware of the way she talks to people. But let's leave that. Let's go to some of the points he highlighted. 1, he said this latest tirade against an elected governor was totally beneath her for several reasons. She's not an elected officer of government and has no role assigned to her in the Constitution of the Federal Republic. It is totally repugnant to openly disgrace, insult, and bully the Chief Executive Officer of Osun State before a global audience, including his own wife. She went too far. 2, it is unbelievable that a self-professed pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God would frown at a governor praising God. Her church should be very embarrassed. 3, would she have tried this with a northern governor reciting the Holy Quran before his speech? 4, why does she think a family owns Nigeria and can publicly go on rampage as she wishes? 5, many commentators have said she was lucky that Governor Ademola Adeleke is a perfect gentleman. But I can't really blame Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu. I blame the squirmish Nigerians. I am not included, so is Benga and Olive and the rest of the team at New Central, who chose to be voluntary slaves in their own country. Shame on the cowardly people who sold their inalienable rights to power. That's a clear indication, and that's what Chief Dele Momodu has said.
It will be very nice to
hear let's see more.
a female perspective. But let's
see more. Total disrespect, but then the governor said, no, they tired to sing. Let's take some more. Let's take some more tweets very quickly and see what Nigerians are saying about the situation. You wouldn't call it a fracas, would you? Maybe it was just a little difference in terms of what did happen.
Let's take some more.
Let's see if we have some more tweets very quickly. More tweets. This one says, when you have judges singing on your mandate and Senate presidents referring to other senators as children of the First Lady, this is the result.
Okay, Bishop, we have to fact check you on the spot. The judges did not sing on your mandate.
They did not. So let's correct that. They did not sing. They said they just stood up for the national anthem, just to clarify, and then it was the band.
Yes, that was playing.
Of the president's band that played that song.
The Brigade of Guards.
The Brigade of Guards. And at that point, they had no choice, but of course, you just need to stand. Please go back. Let's take the other tweet very quickly. This one says, if he was singing, now I'm Mama Bidiso. We're not going to get another one.
That's a good.
Now
that's
I'm
a
Mama
good.
Bidiso.
Olive knows how to
giving
sing
him
the
extra
song,
time.
but
Let's move on.
We hope we can get her online very soon.
This is Yoruba play level now. Why are you all trying to make it seem like a big deal? Be a pause. And that's what I said. This is my summation of what happened. I think it's not a big deal. I think it's just
there's a place and time for those kind of
that culture
play.
will always trump. I think culture will always, triumph.
No.
Every protocols at a certain time in life.
I don't agree.
You always hear
I vehemently condemn your statement.
All right, it's okay. Sorry. Do we have one more? If we could take one more before we come back to the studio live. Samax, she literally gave him the headmistress versus naughty student treatment. Remi Tinubu does not play with protocol. She wanted a serious government function, but the delegate thought he was opening a
praising God is
concert.
He wasn't playing. He was praising God.
You can't blame him. The music is in the blood. It's in the blood, man. Yeah, man. We just need to make life.
It's an delicate for a reason.
Yeah, it's a shake situation, and you don't have a choice. Adebanji shake is what I said. Take note. A delegate should leave music for the musicians and dance for the dancers. He's a governor, yet he spends more time dancing and entertaining than focusing on the responsibilities he was elected to perform. His primary duty is to govern, not to entertain. Osun State needs development, not a full-time performer in government. Leadership is not a stage, it is a serious work.
Adebanji is being too harsh. I remember I did an interview with His Excellency a few years ago, and okay, let's finish this and I'll tell you that story.
Mazi Uche Okeodo says, seeing the wife of the president speak to the Osun State Governor like that did not sit well. A governor should be treated with basic respect in any setting. The way she stopped him came off as clear disrespect and turned what should have been a smooth event into public tension. Well, that's pretty much all we're going to take on that conversation, but let's let you know that you can also react. Go on our socials and let us know what you think. Ola joins us on this.
Yeah. So
I want to know your take. Does this sit well with you, or does it all go well with you?
So first of all, good morning to our audience. Thank you for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central. But I'm going to say that I heard both your arguments, and I'm going to lean more in the direction of Gbenga's
great minds.
And why I would lean more in that direction is because, and I hear you, Joe, when you say they are pals and friends, but there's a time and place for everything. I have a friend who's a king. Behind camera, when we were in school, I would call him Shedi Alpha. And sometimes, even I ran into him, I saw him a while back, and Shedi. But then I caught myself because I realized he's no longer Shedi. He's His Royal Majesty. In public, I will never call him Shedi. I would give him the honor that he deserves. If we're speaking over the phone as pals, I can call him, HRM Shedi, how far now? Do you get? Because we're friends. But I would never disrespect him like that in public. I would never do that. That's undermining his authority. There's a place and there's a time for everything. It's the same way spiritual authority, political authority, you have, no matter how big a person is, right? There are people who will look at them and be like, you don't have sense, and slap you on the head.
That is our
but there are things you will never do to them.
Joe, that is our friend. Imagine him at Hotel Expo, convener is giving his speech, and they will come in, Joe, see your big head.
I'll collect the scripts. No.
You see.
So
it will not go well with you. I
leave that to go with me. There's a way that could have been done with more decorum. And we know this, we're all MCs. A simple writing on the note to say, please, kindly wrap up and give it to him the first time.
And she
if he's not doing it,
to
please, you need to wrap up now. And pass it there with a smile, you put it on the podium. This is how MCs do it. All the time, we have
But the
people
first lady
on
is
the
not
podium.
an MC.
Yes, she's not an MC. Why she shouldn't have done it herself?
ADC
she should have sent it
She was overseeing the event.
Okay, she should have sent her ADC.
You're being honored. You shouldn't even be standing and moving.
Or she should have written it down.
Places.
Or if she's even telling him that, you whisper it into his ear in a way that people will not hear. I'm like, listen. The first lady is not aware of what we see in the English Premier League, where footballers talk like this.
She's a former senator,
footballers talk like this because of lip syncing and the lip readers who are professional people who they pay money now to read your lips.
Yeah.
So
Well,
maybe
that's
if she
an
knew
angle.
that, she would have just said, please.
No, it was even, she shouldn't have stood up from her seat in the first place.
But I'm sure that this is a teachable moment for her.
And for that tweet that was condemning the governor of, not facing governors, two things can be true at the same time. He has a personality type and is a happy-go-lucky type of person.
Just to confirm, what event was that event? What were they doing at the event? I think the governor also has a responsibility. You need to understand that there's a time and place for everything. If it's a government event, if it's a political event, I'm not sure what the event
is.
It's a traditional event.
Yeah, mixed with government. Yes.
So if it is a pure government event, is why at government events, for the most part, their prayer is the national anthem because it's a secular gathering. They are Christians, they are Muslims. You have to respect everybody's religion. And if you want to pray, "Oh God of creation, direct and noble cause," or no, rather, you come to the third stanza of the current national anthem. And then, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a time and place, and I'm a Christian, but I say that you need to understand the setting, But let's move to the next story. Burkina Faso's military has confirmed that the 11 Nigerian soldiers currently in their custody were detained after carrying out what Nigeria describes as an emergency stop, but what the Burkinabe authorities have interpreted as an unauthorized entry. According to Burkina Faso, no prior clearance was granted, and the sudden presence of foreign troops appeared to violate military protocol and raise concerns of a possible incursion. While Nigeria maintains the personnel made an emergency landing in line with operational necessity, Burkina Faso has opened an investigation to determine the motive behind the unexpected border breach. Let's take a look at this video.
Communiqué de la Confédération des États du Sahel, AES, relatif à la violation de l'espace aérien confédéral.
And the English translation of what is being said in that video is: an aircraft belonging to the Nigerian Air Force of the Federal Republic of Nigeria type C-130 was forced to land today, December 8, 2025, in Bobo Dioulasso, Burkina Faso, following an in-flight emergency situation while it was operating in Burkinabe airspace. The military panel is specified, the military plane, I beg your pardon, it is specified had on board 2 crew members and 9 passengers, all military personnel. An investigation immediately opened by the competent Burkinabe services made it possible to highlight the absence of authorization to fly over Burkinabe territory by this military aircraft. Therefore, the Confederation of Sahel States in its communique condemns with the utmost firmness this violation of its airspace and the sovereignty of its member states. Furthermore, faced with what it qualified as an inimical act carried out in contempt of international law and international rules of civil and or military aviation, General Goita assured that measures are being taken to ensure the security of the confederal airspace and the sovereignty and territorial integrity of its member states, as well as the security of the population of the AES Federation. Full stop.
Okay.
That is to say, what's Gompa?
So why would Nigerian Air Force,
not get permission
entering into another country's airspace, and you don't get permission from the control tower in Bobo Dioulasso that you have an emergency, you're going to land, and before you even get to Bobo Dioulasso, immediately you were crossing into Burkinabe airspace from Ghana. You should have communicated with the control tower in the country, the Civil Aviation Authority of Burkina Faso. They failed to do it, so they're in the wrong. What we have now is a diplomatic situation. We hope it doesn't spiral out of control, given the mood in the sub-region now, following the attempted coup in Benin Republic. But I'm sure they'll make diplomatic entreaties, and we should try and fix this before it becomes a major diplomatic incident. And there's also the French side, because as you know, the AES states have kicked out the French from the Sahel in the last few years following the coups, and they've severed relationships with Paris. And there's Nigeria that seems to be a very buddy-buddy with the French. And just on Sunday, President Emmanuel Macron did communicate with Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and they're also saying that, President Tinubu acted in Benin Republic on the instructions of the French. But don't take our words for it. Let's listen to what Nigerians are saying about this latest incident. Wow, this is an epistle Okay, I don't think we can take that. Let's move on.
No, we can maybe just take a few lines.
Okay.
All right? Okay.
Yes. Nkiru says, you ignored bandits at home, but confidently flew into another country's airspace. Burkina Faso just helped us to do small discipline. If you can't secure your country, don't go violating someone else's. I mean, and it's back to back. People also complain about you not dealing with bandits, but going to Benin Republic. Alex says, correct me if I'm wrong, but emergency landing in another country is not a crime under the International Aviation and Customary Law.
Says who? Alex.
I mean, how did you even get into the territory in the first place, let alone the incident
Alex,
of
please go and
emergency?
check your law very well. And it's not just any flight. Sorry, we had to talk on that. We're supposed to wait till we finish. But then again, it's not just, it's a jet that's used in terms of combat. So, yeah, you would not...
It's, okay, it's a military transport plane.
Yeah.
The Burkinabe airspace is manned by the Russian Africa Corps. We were lucky they didn't shoot first.
Thank you. But just for me, it's a clear case. I was scrolling through the presidency's page, handler, SSA, and one who was talking and giving us bit by bit detail and account of everything that happened hasn't even posted anything. I'm talking about Mr. Bayo Nanuga. I was expecting that by now he would have really,
maybe
spoken about
the situation.
No, he should be quick to put that because the international press is doing that on his behalf and on behalf of the president. International press is doing that in Benin Republic. They've subtly, I heard they sort of kind of mentioned, but they kept it quiet. They kept it quiet. But the international countries are saying, this is what happened, even Burkinabe as well. Don't forget, too, that the president has a close call in terms of ECOWAS as well. We all know what that means. And don't forget that the Burkina Faso you're talking about, if you link them with the AES as well, and many of them, they are not in tandem with what's going on.
They're not friendly with
ECOWAS and so on and so forth. So initially, remember, they had equally warned that when ECOWAS said they were going to send in fighters to these countries. Remember what happened? It was a back and forth communication.
An attack on one is an attack on
if you attack one of these states, then you've attacked the other ones, which includes Mali, Niger, and so on and so forth. Now, you, in wanting to carry out a powerful work to ensure that you curb any form of mutiny in Benin Republic, you have now crossed the airspace. That same airspace, they warned against that. If you shoot there past our airspace, we will shoot you down.
And what were they doing there? Because there are two borders away from Burkina Faso. There's
they said the jet had an issue. There was an emergency, so they had to land.
So the question is, where they were there no other airspaces that they had permission from to land? You raised the key point.
And the key points there, of West Africa.
The key points there is that Burkina Faso, they've severe ties with ECOWAS, like you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Nigeria, of course, is ECOWAS. So there's already that strain that exists. The fears here would be the fact that I don't know what will happen. I don't know that. I hope they do not detain these people and use them as bargaining chips for, if Nigeria tries to push too hard. But in some measure, this is also some form of flexing for them to let all the neighboring countries know that they're not joking with their sovereignty. They're not joking with their borders and their boundaries on land and in the air. And it's a way of sending a strong message to say, do not come close, do not cross our boundaries. And I wonder how
the Burkinabes have every right to be suspicious of the airplane, what it's doing in their region.
Exactly.
Because if you look at the type of airplanes, a C-130 Hercules C-130 transport plane, it's used to ferry personnel and equipment. So, and they've been complaining about jihadist and violent extremist groups operating in Burkina Faso. They have every right to suspect all sorts of military transport planes that are coming in. Are you supplying some of these terrorists? Yes. Are you doing covert operations? So the Burkinabes will have to do a thorough investigation and questioning of the Nigerian crew before they release it. So I don't think any sort of diplomacy can make this incident just disappear
It's
in the
going
next
to
48
strain,
hours.
definitely strain
Because they
diplomatic
have
relations.
to also do their homework.
They've also raised a signal alarm. They've said going forward, all the airspace should be tightened. Anything they see.
I was going to say that.
Anything
I was going to say that this is
that
also
they're
going
to bring it down.
In the future,
That's what they've
if
done.
you have an emergency, you just be praying that your emergency doesn't land you in any of these states, because if you land there, he's going to signal trouble for you. So when there's a situation of an emergency, emergencies are obviously not planned. You just be hoping that it doesn't fall within the Sahel states, because it might not end nicely for you.
And then we shouldn't also demonize, just because they're a military government, we shouldn't demonize the Sahel states and treat them, like they're outcasts. These are fellow African and West African brothers and sisters. They might operate a different system of government, but we shouldn't alienate ourselves from them. And also, General Musa mentioned in the Senate that looking at this new strategy, he spoke about the strategy of getting this Sahel states to buy into our war against terrorism. Because you can't go to sleep if your neighbor's house is on fire. You have vast ungoverned spaces in the Sahel, terrorist groups operating them, you have proliferation of weapons there that are going through our porous borders. So you need to have a sort of cooperation with them, military-wise, to deal with this. And you can't say, okay, just because you're a military government, we're not going to talk to you. And you can't think in silos anymore.
I'm happy that the president did listen to the calls by well-meaning Nigerians who said, don't go into a fight with these Sahel states.
Yeah, with Niger.
With Niger especially. Don't do that. Because the other states had mentioned that, like we rightly said here, if you touch one of us, you've touched all of us. And we're happy that there was a withdrawal immediately. Had it been that, anyway, let's not think about that. But the bottom line here is that as we progress on the show, the point is we need the SSAs, the president's handle, to speak to Nigerians. As journalists, we're getting these information from the outside source.
Or the Minister of Information. We have a Minister of Information.
Interior and all that. Where are they? Because the Minister of Interior should be able to know, in flight and all that. All of this information should be on the table right now. In short, they should have tweeted to say, listen, we can confirm to you that this, because the international media
is a very serious
it's a very
issue.
And then they will write the narrative in the way that
but if it's Super Eagles now, they would have tweeted.
No. It's not, did you see the way the tweets were going concerning the pushback in terms of sending the fire for the force to ensure that
flexing muscle?
It's good. It's
definitely because of that.
It's good information.
That Niger is taking this
consistent.
Sorry, Burkina Faso is reacting this way. Definitely because of the recent incidents that Burkina Faso is reacting this way. But you can let us know your thoughts. We're streaming live on YouTube. Please go to News Central Live to drop your comments in the chat box, and we will take your thoughts. How do you analyze Burkina Faso detaining our military personnel and suspecting our jets, military aircraft? How could we have handled this differently, or how should we handle this differently? Let us know your thoughts on YouTube Live, or you can tweet at News Central TV. We'll go on a break to come back, but let's share with you what the top stories are this morning on Breakfast Central. This morning on Breakfast Central, President Tinubu warns public officers against corruption. The U.S. Congressman Riley Moore calls for efforts to combat insecurity in Nigeria. And still looking at what's happening within the country, Wike-led faction plans state congresses and convention. It seems we have two PDPs. Wike PDP bloc berates Turaki faction, elects National Caretaker Committee to oversee convention. We have the newspapers coming your way this morning. Join us for all these and more. United States Congressman Riley Moore has issued a strong call for Nigeria to intensify efforts in combating terrorism and communal violence following a high-level meeting with Nigeria's National Security Advisor. Moore emphasized that the persistent attacks in the Northeast and the Middle Belt are not just a Nigerian problem, but a global concern.
But what does this mean for Nigeria's political will to act decisively? And how does this international pressure intersect with the recent wave of kidnappings and violence that have gripped the nation? Join us this morning for this important discussion as the Director General of the International Institute of Professional Security, Dr. Tony Ofoyeton. A warm welcome to you, Dr. Ofoyeton, and thanks for joining us in Breakfast Central this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Now, Dr. Ofoyeton, Congressman Moore described the situation in Nigeria as heartbreaking and has called for the dismantling of terrorist networks. Since Nigeria was designated as country of particular concern, we've seen movements, we've seen also a change in personnel at the highest level of security in this country. Why did it have to take the attention of the United States for us to see movements and also efforts to deal decisively with insecurity in our country?
Well, I think the issue of why it has to take the intervention of the United States are divided into two. The first part has to do with those who have the ear and have the root through the ear of Mr. President, the President of the United States of America. Especially as it relates to the unabated killings in the country as a whole, with more particular concern on North Central. Then, of course, secondly, is the fact that it also becomes a good avenue through which the Trump administration can also negotiate. So it's both political, economic, and also religious, as it were. For a nation like America, those that were able to get the hearing of Mr. President, saw that, look, this could be an avenue. While you are helping us, you could also have an advantage, as it were, especially economic advantage in terms of, bilateral strengthening of the bilateral relationship between America and Nigeria. And at the same time, it would also have been able to help solve the particular problem that is still endemic. And now why it sustained this long, or why it took this long, basically was because of the lack of political will of previous administration and even this present administration up till the time of the intervention of the American president. Then we began to see the sporadic and a very high-powered intervention. We saw the reshuffling of the security architecture. We also saw the pronouncement of Mr. President declaring state of emergency in the security sector. We also saw a situation where, yes, like we have advocated severally, I'm happy that Mr. President has also said that the forest should be cleared. If you remember, many of the interviews I've granted, even on this platform, I've advised that one of the things that they can achieve is to clear the forest. And I think the forest guard has been engaged. But I will also advise that forest guard be not left on their own in the forest, because they are still new in the game and they can only help in terms of being lead. They can lead give more or less like a pointer as to direction, because they understand the forest better. So, but the activities and the intervention and the operation of the military, it cannot be underemphasized. They should still basically play the major lead role in terms of wiping out the terrorists from all the forests. Then, of course, we saw the president coming out to declare that the issue of state police is a no-go. It's a foregone conclusion that it has to be. The only thing I've not heard is whether Mr. President had transmitted a bill to that effect to the National Assembly, because such issues are not a declaration, they are not presidential declaration, they are not executive orders to back up whatever you are saying about state police, for us to know that, of course, it is true and it is serious. That means that the bill must have been draft bill must have been transmitted to the National Assembly for consideration. So I think basically we also saw when the issue of police protecting VIP became an order which the IGP had to comply with. More than 11,000 policemen were withdrawn from several executives all over the country within a space of 24 to 48 hours. I think these are good. For now, you also saw the issue of the kidnapping in Kwara, and of course the one in is it Castina also. Then you also saw the level of which release, the quick response of the government vis-a-vis the release of the abductees. So I think that for now, the mere statement of Mr. President, that is the President of the United States of America, is working. So what I am looking forward to is not that it should be temporary, but what I'm looking forward to is that it should be permanent. In other words, not that maybe you believe that the pressure has gone down, therefore let's go back to business as usual. Business as usual will not help a nation called Nigeria. I grew up in this country, stayed with the Muslims. I had a lot of Muslim friends. We eat, we dine, we stay together, and there was nothing called religious intolerance at this level. Up till recently, maybe about 10, 15 years ago, when we began to have segregation on the ground of religion, and attack to the extent that it became that bad that lives have to be taken, not just lives being taken, but that they are taken, impunitively. So I think that we should go back to that old time where we are free to operate anywhere in the country, and we are happy to do that. So, and I think Mr. President should make it intentional. Good enough, the political will is being forced out of Mr. President now. He should sustain it and make it higher, so that we now believe that this political will is not forced on him, rather it is his own personal political will. Okay, Dr. I think that's just my entry now. Yeah.
All right, Dr. Foyato, I think since we're looking at the U.S.'s impact on how Nigeria handles its security issues, I also want to highlight one statement that was made just recently. It's a tweet by a former governor of Kano State talking about His Excellency Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. On the third paragraph on his tweet, he did mention, he said, it appears the federal government is overwhelmed. I'm just going to take 3 points there. 3 points, I'd like you to please respond to it. Dr. Rabiu Kwankwaso said, one, that regrettably, the federal government seems to be overwhelmed. That's one. And then he also mentioned the growth of vigilante security outfits, which are starting to spring up in different states. Everybody, we've seen that in the Southeast recently, where they were training, they had their guns, in quotes, gallant officers. The politician is worried that when you have so many of them coming up, this would lead to proliferation of small arms and also light weapons across the country, because each and every vigilante will be given access to have arms, to carry rifles, so as to ensure that they carry on protecting their citizens. What do you make of this? What do you make of his statement that he's worried, he thinks the federal government is overwhelmed, and he fears for the insecurity of those who are working to secure Nigerians due to the proliferation of lightweight or small arms as well in circulation?
Well, I think basically the issue of government being overwhelmed, it's neither here nor there. At times I can agree with him to the extent that the military is operating in almost 33 out of the 36 states we have in the country. And it's not as if we are in war. Unfortunately, because of the high level of security challenges we have, we see military operation everywhere. So, and you look at the numerical strength of all the security agencies, they are definitely not enough to police the whole nation. Definitely. So if you look at it from that perspective, and also seeing the fact that even Nigerians have shouted severally that led to the issue of the withdrawal of police protection of the executive, you will agree that they are overstretched. But the overstretching is not basically because of all those, because of the fact that how would I put it? The overstretching is basically a product of the strategy strategic approach of the government, especially security agencies, in combating terrorism in Nigeria. The main monster we have in the country today is terrorism. All other security challenges are security challenges that are not alien to us. Armed robbery, violence, rape, and all. They are not alien, and I can assure you that it's not as if they are going to go overnight. But terrorism is something that can go overnight, and that is a major monster that we're all fighting against. Now, that actually led to the death of many of these militia groups, the VGN we are talking about, even the Forest Guard, even the Amotekun, the Bebeagu, the OPC, and the like. Now, these are all responses to the fact that some states, some group of people feel insecure and feels that the government security architecture is not able to come all out adequately for the purpose of the protection of their vicinity. And you could have seen it, Reverend, I think Reverend Ezekiel also was shouting recently that we should be thinking of defending ourselves and all those. Many clergymen had come all out to talk about whatever you can use to defend yourself. Please go and look for it and use it to defend yourself. Now, that's to tell you to what extent Nigeria became frustrated at a time. Even though there was pretentious statement that security agencies are able and they are up to, but their numerical strength is not able to simultaneously and coordinatively, tackle security all over the country. That's why you see when they are in point A, the attack is going on in point B. When they are in point D, the attack is going on in point Z. So at the end of the day, and you also see the challenge of insider threat all over. Now, the issue of proliferation of small and light weapons is not novel, it's not new, it's still until today. And that is why you see the terrorist group having arms. Now, in Nigeria today, you have the foot soldiers of Boko Haram, Lakrawa, and Saru, the bandits, or what they are basically terrorists under the act as we speak today. Now their foot soldiers are well over 1 million foot soldiers. So what is the numerical strength of our security formation as a whole in the country today? And out of that 1 million foot soldiers, not less than half of them bear arms. And when I say bear arms, I'm talking of AK-47 and above. So if at that level, where did those 500,000 arms or weapons come from? So these are areas that government should really concentrate itself on, rather than concentrate yourself on legitimate, non-vigilante, forest guard, Amotekun, Ebebiago. They are known, even if they bear arms. Their arms are given to them by their state, and in most cases they always pump action. They don't bear RPGs. They don't bear AK-47. They don't bear any assault rifle or weapon. So you are talking of the normal pump action and the like, can be a double barrel and all those stuff like that. Maximum of 9 rounds. Now these are not the major concern, because even though they bear those arms, they are regulated. They are under particular state government or under certain statutory authority, which is easy to coordinate. That is not the meaning, and that is not the definition of proliferation of small or light weapons in the country. The meaning of proliferation is when it gets to the wrong hands. Those people that are into banditry, those people that are terrorists, those people that are using it to commit crime. Now, it's not an excuse to say that some of them can use it to commit crime. That does not become an excuse upon which we begin to shout. Today, the police formation had come to public to say, if you have weapons and the like, submit it. We have withdrawn all licenses and the like. But the truth is that they have also further exposed Nigerians. So we thank God that so far so well, we've not had major casualty from that. There have been arguments here and there whether Nigerians should be allowed to bear arms on the line. But the solution to this, if we're even talking about whether we want to fight against the proliferation of light weapons and small arms, is basically when you have the state police. State police will be licensed to bear arms of any type of arm they choose to bear, subject to the parents' body's regulation and subject to the provision of the act as it will be. So if that we now have a state police, the essence and the relevance of a VPN would automatically on its own, it will fizzle away. Baby Agu, Amoteku, and the like, they won't fizzle away. Because each state will have its own police and will have it named according to the way they want it. Then those people will not be co-opted or absorbed. Those that are qualified to be there will not be absorbed into the state police architecture.
Does this explanation explanation that you're giving also cover the Hisba in the northern part of Nigeria? We saw in the news that there was report about how the former governor wants to establish establish a fresh kind of Hisba, I would say, and that they've already started screening people. So would you say that this explanation would apply to them as well?
No, he said the former governor, Ganduje, also is just trying to put up a private army in the name of Hisba. One, Hisba outlived its usefulness, and that was why it was cancelled by the present governor. Don't forget that Hisba ordinarily is a religious police. As some of us have advocated, and we are still advocating, that the federal government should really intervene and look at the criminal aspect of the Sharia law applicable in the north and wipe it away. There should just be singular criminal jurisprudence in Nigeria. A situation where you have, this is supposed to be a secular nation, but a situation where you have different criminal adjudication and there's high level of conflict, it's not helping the nation. It's not helping people's freedom of movement, freedom of worship, and all those stuff like that. You are Muslim, you are not expected to eat during Ramadan. Now there's a Christian that is drinking water beside you because he feels states there, and you get angry and you attack that Christian because, according to you, your religion does not allow anybody to eat. But this person is not a Muslim. Now, these are things that Hisba was doing, and it became they became irritant at a time. Now, it is absolutely wrong, unconstitutional, and illegal for a private person to raise a private army, to raise whatever name it is called, whether it is Hisba or it is unconstitutional, it is illegal. And I think that is just leveraging on the fact that he's a strong member of APC to do this. If any other person in Nigeria is doing this, won't the federal government intervene immediately? I think the federal government should be proactive enough to understand that beyond politics is the security implication of a private individual recruiting people for the purpose of security. On what ground are you going to do that? Are you the governor of the state? Are you going to superintend on anybody? What authority will those Hisba have over any human being in Nigeria? On what authority? What template? What law is going to regulate their activities? Is going to empower them either to arrest or to apprehend or to do anything against any citizen of Nigeria?
Now, Dr. Finally, before we let
it was even wrong for DSS to allow such. DSS should immediately intervene, disband it, and also give him a warning. If not, if possible, arrest him.
Dr. Tony
Ofoiko. It's purely illegal.
All right, we hear you. Thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We had other questions. I was hoping that we could have spoken to you about the president's announcing that we have our gallant forces on standby, especially regarding the recent attempt at toppling a democratically elected government. But we will invite you again, and hopefully we can touch it then. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Now let's share with you what's coming up next on Breakfast Central. Coming up next, the Wike-led faction of the People's Democratic Party plans state congresses and convention. The PDP bloc, of course, has berated the Turaki faction. We're looking into the details of that. Education policies have been unveiled by the federal government. Stick around.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has issued a stern warning to public officers, urging them to shun corruption, nepotism, and cronyism. He described public service as a sacred trust and called for a renewed culture of accountability, transparency, and patriotism. The president's remarks were delivered at the Nigeria Excellence Awards in Public Service, where he emphasized that public office is not a personal inheritance, but a national responsibility.
The president warned against the misuse of public funds and called for a culture of meritocracy and service delivery. The president's statement comes amid rising public frustration over unresolved corruption cases, opaque procurement processes, and political appointments that raise eyebrows. But here's the question. Is this actually a turning point in Nigeria's fight against corruption, or just another well-worded speech in a long line of unfulfilled promises? Well, joining us to unpack this discussion is public affairs analyst. We do have Professor Simon Na, who joins us this morning. Good morning, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Professor Simeon and Nasser. Always a
Looking
pleasure
very
to have
bright
you.
and handsome this morning.
Absolutely, always. I mean, we need to drink to the Prof's presence this morning. So.
Okay. You guys are drinking and there's no cup in front of me.
It's coming.
I'm brewing your coffee.
It has to be special.
We just made a
Very
request
special.
for you. But first, how's it been? Looking at the corruption case and looking at where Nigeria is when it comes to the charter and the likes, the president, the number one citizen, is saying, listen, the public office is not your father's office. You're not going to stay there for long. It's not an inheritance. Don't use money dubiously. Make sure you use it right, especially to benefit the citizens. Have we seen corruption reduce since this current administration came to power? Or has it been another turnaround, turning the curve or bending the curve to a state of unfulfilled promises?
You said it all. It's been turning the curve because when you look at the corruption index before he came in, we were one of the worst corrupt countries in the world. And I remember the British MP saying that Nigeria, as at that time, was fantastically corrupt. However, some people were fighting him. Why should you say that to Nigeria? I had somebody say that if Nigeria was fantastically corrupt, the UK will be dubiously corrupt because most of the money stolen in Nigeria is being spent in the UK. Okay. So they are dubiously corrupt. However, having said that, this administration has not done anything apart from rhetorics to show that corruption should be something that will be a thing of the past. I'm saying that with the benefit of hindsight, because from the grapevines, it's alleged that those governors that are moving to the APC are being promised heaven and earth. And if you read his speech on that, he said nepotism, political patronage, and whatever. Cronyism. They are all corruption. So if we take him from that angle, we will say we have not done anything to check corruption in this country. Recall that he was making a speech on an award to public servants. It was an award night, so what do you expect him to say?
So you don't believe the mindset that the president had regarding making that speech? You don't believe that he meant it?
No, we should walk the talk.
It's not practicing.
Talk is cheap. We should walk the talk. Leaders should be examples to be followed, not mistakes to be avoided.
So what would you say are some of the actions or inactions that you've seen that signal that the president is not walking the talk?
I've said one of them. The politicians that are moving, they are being promised heaven and earth, and the rates at which things are happening. Okay, if political patronage is corruption, look at the list of the people that were appointed as ambassadors, non-career ambassadors. Some of them were political patronage. You can agree with me.
Who are political patronage?
You don't put me in a corner. All of us know that.
I don't know.
We know the names.
But these names could also mean.
We know the names. They are political patronage.
Femi Fani-Kayode could be a name based on
politically
experience.
They are said so.
Is being politically exposed as a person, does that make you...
No, somebody who has been standing against you has said unprintable things against you. Unprintable. I mean unprintable. Things you can't just think about has been said by some people against him, and they are appointing him. Okay, look at
he has a forgiving heart. He's the father of the nation.
The former INEC chair. Some of us knew what transpired during the last election. Why must he be appointed? But you know, he is following the trajectory of the late president, who brutal was being accused of this and that and that and that, and people were calling for his head. That he has houses in Dubai, it was alleged. That he has houses in Dubai, he has this, he has that. He didn't come to clear it. The next thing was I was removed and then appointed ambassador so that he would not be tried. You see, these are some of the things we are saying. The former INEC chair was appointed so that he would not be tried. It's as simple as that, because you can't try an ambassador. You cannot. So some of us know some of these little games that are being played, you know.
Anyway, I want us to look at, in terms of corruption, can we also look at the other aspect of it? If the president is directing that all public servants maintain law and order when it comes to corruption, is it any wonder why the presidency has not spoken to the number of points that have been raised by, take for instance, SERAP? SERAP has continued to ask questions. The NNPC, the missing money, people in public office, because the president was talking to people in public office.
Yes.
And then you have public office that is already, you know, shrouded in
declaration of
so much, you know, money is getting lost or missing. What does that make of that speech or that statement?
I don't want to use the word that's coming to my mind, but let me say it this way. Now, look at what 210 trillion will do to the Nigerian economy. That's the amount that is missing in the NNPC.
Yeah.
Look at the amount of $30 million that is missing that has not been accounted for. We can't say missing now. That has not been accounted for in the school safety, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
You know. So these monies, if they are used judiciously, things will not happen the way they happen. Okay, look at this issue. The students that were taken away, it's been alleged that there was that the people that were guarding that place, the military people that were guarding that place, were asked to leave 30 minutes before that period. And after that, the bandits or the terrorists struck.
Yeah.
Now, we've been going forth and back. How many weeks now to just find out who made a call? Is it too difficult to find out? Please. Is it too difficult to find out who made a call? For how many weeks now? We've been dilly-dallying. We are still investigating. What kind of investigation is that? No. What kind of investigation? It's something that could be done in a jiffy. Just call the service providers and they will give you this, and they have all these details. So why are they asking for NIM and BVN and what have you? What are they doing with those things? With NIM, you discover who made that call. It's a simple thing. Okay, the people that were arrested, if it's a commoner, they would have twisted the person to say who. So they are trying to say they done it to us. That the person that made that call is so powerful that he could not be arrested. It's as simple as that.
Prof, if we look at Nigeria's rankings in the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, since this administration took office in 2023, they have continuously improved on it. The last time under the Buhari administration, we ranked 150 out of 180 countries surveyed. In 2023, we were 145. That's a 5-step improvement over 180. And last year, we were ranked 140. So we improved on the first year. Do you
140
over one? I mean, coming from the Buhari administration, would you give this administration at least some credit for?
You see, the base year for analysis is wrong, because that administration
was also an APC administration.
Was an APC administration, not just an APC administration. That government ran on autopilot. I can say it anywhere. The head of state was not in charge. It's a simple thing. He was not in charge. So whatever happened in that administration, because people that know Buhari at close range will tell you...
The Tinubu administration doesn't deserve any credit for its improvements in the CPI.
No, it will have some good words from some of us if the ranking is like 30. If it's coming close to 140 over 180, and they are saying, what is the meaning of that? When you hold on, when you have 40% in an exams, well, in some schools they say it's pass. But when you have 36, it's the same thing with somebody that has 0. Because you have failed, you have failed. There's no way anybody can explain it. You have failed and you have failed. F9 is F9 anywhere. So it doesn't make, nobody will begin to ask whether
some people
you score 38 or 39. Yeah. That one is when you are inching to the echelon of the grades. Now, if you say strong 2-1, what the person is trying to tell you is that
closer to first class.
Almost made it first class.
So in that case, shouldn't that apply here to say, okay, we're not yet out of the woods, but we have made considerable progress?
We have made, no, not considerable. Don't use that word considerable. We have made little progress.
Prof, I'm so glad I'm not your student, because your marking scheme will be very tough.
No, of course. No, my marking schemes are not very tough, but then you must impress me for you to...
I get your point. Because we're still in the lower rungs.
Of course,
there's nothing to celebrate.
There's nothing to celebrate at all. If you roll the drums now, you are just deceiving yourself.
Now, how can we make our anti-corruption agencies truly independent enough to investigate high-level government officials without fear of interference? Because it seems they're politically exposed sacred cows when it comes to corruption investigation. Here, it was Adams Oshomole that said once you join the APC and they begin to use deodorant for your cases, while those in opposition, they use insecticides.
No, it was not Oshomole, it was Sani that said that. It was Senator Sani that said, Shehu Sani, that said, if you join the APC, they will use deodorants. If you are outside APC, they will use insecticides. What Adams Oshomole said was that once you join the APC, you become a saint. Your sins have been forgiven you.
Oh, yes.
That's
so
what
how
he said.
can we make this anti-graft agencies truly independent?
No, you see, all of them look at the body language of the president. See, if we must face facts, the current EFCC and the DSS guy, the two guys, are doing some jobs that they should be encouraged. So some of us are saying the president should encourage them by his body language, because if the two of them are being encouraged, this corruption thing we are talking about will be a thing of the past. Because when justice is not speedily, can I learn on this? When justice is not speedily executed, the heart of man is said to do evil. Because these things, nobody does anything about it, so people believe we can do it and get away with it. So if the job that the EFCC chair is doing and the DSS director is doing, they are being encouraged by the presidency, they are going to do more.
Okay, so I also want to talk about, because I always hammer about this, our legislative arm.
Yeah.
They are a very important part too. We've talked about the independence. Bingas just asked you about the independence of our law enforcement agencies, our anti-graft agencies. National Assembly, what can be done? How can they ensure transparency in government? Because there's a reason why we have 3 arms, for checks and balances.
That's what the books say, but that's not what we see today. This particular National Assembly, on your mandate to stand assembly, forget them.
Are you the 10th Assembly?
Yes. This on your mandate to stand National Assembly, you can't do anything with them.
Why?
Because they will stand on the mandate of the president. Whatever happens, they will stand on the mandate of the president. They are supposed to checkmate the president, but they are acting as class prefects while the president is the headmaster. That's the way they are acting. So they are taking directives from the president instead of checkmating the president. And look at what happened the other day. The other arm that is supposed to check the other two too, on your mandate was sang at their occasion.
In their defense.
Yes.
Even though I'm not holding
in their defense. No. I'm coming to that.
Okay.
In their defense, they said it was the guard that played this thing. my sister, you and I know that somebody would have put a word across to them if it is in a country where things are done normally. Recall that that song was not sung once, it was sung twice.
But
the president and when the CJ spoke.
so whose
after the CJ
responsibility
spoke.
is it to check the guards from playing that song? Because if the president comes into a gathering, no matter how displeased you are by the fact that they are singing on your mandate, you're not going to sit down. If the president walks in here and it's, let's say, a political function is happening or a public function, you will stand up to show respect to the president, regardless of whether you approve of the choice of music or not.
Okay.
And you can't walk up and be like, oh, stop that music now. We can't do that.
Okay.
So whose responsibility? Some say that maybe the president should be the one to check all his SSAs.
No,
all
the
his
president
essays.
loves that, so he would not check it.
Well,
See,
how do we know that?
what we're saying is that if this is a country where things are properly done, when they sang it, when the president walked in, somebody with sanctified common sense would have gone to tell them, please, because of the political sensitivity of this, don't sing this song here again, please. Recall in that occasion, because I didn't watch it from the beginning, was the national anthem sung?
I'm not sure. I do not know.
So that was the anthem they sang.
But even if they sang the national anthem, I think we all collectively agree that they should limit on your mandate we shall stand to APC functions.
Absolutely.
Not for
Absolutely.
government
Not
functions.
for-
But
not
I don't particularly
Because
think
it's
it is
Strong
blame-
legislative, a strong judiciary arm.
But I can't necessarily blame the judiciary for that one. The legislative arm, we see them do it. But the judiciary, in this case, I cannot blame because they had no other choice. It's nothing that they could have done.
No.
It's
They
a
could have
different
done
issue.
something.
They were singing
When
along.
it was sung the first time, they could be pardoned. But the second time, at least when it was sung the
They
first
weren't
time,
singing.
somebody should have gone. Did
It
you
was
watch,
an instrumental
Did you watch that?
of your mandate. The judges weren't. They weren't.
They weren't humming it, but were they showing signs of approval?
No, I don't agree with
See,
that one.
what I'm trying to say here is that, listen, if the thing was sung just once, I would take your argument. But for it to be sung a second time, no. It's a no-no for me.
It's the fault of the Brigade of
It's a
Guards,
no-no for me.
for playing.
Somebody should have gone to
in that
tell
sort
them
of
when they sang it the first time, this is the function
Or maybe
of the
since it's a
judiciary.
national debate,
Please.
since it's a national debate, maybe, like I always say, maybe a press release would have sufficed.
But that is it. Now,
clear the
it
air,
was
but-
when the backlash came
But-
that they started struggling to defend themselves. You see, we have this issue of always trying to
We are reactive.
reactive instead of being proactive. What I expected was somebody should have gone to the Brigade of Guards to tell them, please, this, because of the sensitivity of this, don't sing this song again.
Or it should have even been
We've sang it
mentioned
before.
in the program ahead, aforetime. But let's take this very critical question.
Yes.
We've seen some political stalwarts who have either one way or the other tainted their image with money missing. Some have tagged it as money laundering. Some have said taken from the office, the purse that should actually be used to benefit the citizens. I mean, a case study is the former governor of Kogi State. His appearance, we saw how glamorous it was when he came to the EFCC. He was celebrated, he was highly respected, he was even chaired.
And we heard White Lion.
Yes, and he came and then he left. That optics, what does it do to this corruption issue that we're facing, where the president has said, you know what, the office holders should ensure that they put corruption to a particular place where it never exists anymore?
That's
what
why-
is the optics in that kind of scenario? What does it bring?
That's why I said earlier that these guys are watching the body language of the president. So if the body language of the president says go all out for these guys, they will go all out for it. See, if you
Why do
look
you
at
need the marching order of the president? I mean, you took an oath of office. You know what your office entails. We often see this culture. The president gives the Inspector General of Police marching order. The president orders Matawale to go to Benue. How many things can the president do? And do you really need an express instruction from the president to carry out your statutory responsibilities?
Let's not play to the gallery. We all know what is going on here. The truth remains that when this issue started, if you had observed from day one, the EFCC was all out, poised to do something. But all of a sudden, the guy was, the governor shielded him in the first instance, and they couldn't do anything because of the immunity of the governor. And later on, they now issued a threat as if the guy would be declared wanted and stuff like that. And the guy came on his own. One expected that the EFCC that was breathing fire and brimstone would have done something then. But all of a sudden, the thing fizzled out, and we're not hearing anything about it. And that has been the trajectory of some of these high-profile individuals.
That episode was...
And that confirms what Adams Oshomole said, Comrade Adams Oshomole said, that once you move over to APC, your sins are forgiven you. Maybe their sins have been forgiven them. Because otherwise, I don't see any reason why things are happening. You leave the major issues. You are pursuing trivial things. Imagine the Chief Justice of the Federation suing Natasha for, are these the things they're supposed to do? Instead of suing criminals, people that have embezzled our money. No, they're not saying anything about it. Okay. They are suing an individual because they don't like her face.
I really wish
I don't understand.
Go on, but we've sadly run out of time. And that episode that you mentioned of the White Lion reminded me of a cartoon I used to watch a lot when I was a kid, Tom and Jerry, very reminiscent of Tom and Jerry, if you recall. These young people here.
I have no idea what Tom and Jerry is. What is that?
We don't know. When the cat is running after the mouse.
Professor
Thank you very much, Golden Professor Simeon, for your time.
Thank you.
For always availing.
Always my pleasure. Always my pleasure.
All right, we'll go on a break now, or when we come back, we have more conversations to look at this morning. Please don't go away.
Welcome back. Let's talk about something that's happening in a particular political party. Well, faction of the People's Democratic Party, loyal to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has nominated members of a transitional National Caretaker Committee ahead of its upcoming National Convention. Now, this was at the 104th National Executive Committee meeting of the factional party of the PDP, where they criticized a parallel faction for what they term continuous disregard to court judgment prior to their convention, which held at Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. They also condemned the expulsion of several members of the PDP, including the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, saying that they will not be given any opportunity to chase founding members of the PDP out of the party, even though certificates were equally shared physically, may be sent, and then also put there online. But let's take a look at this report. We'll be right back to talk about it.
It was the 104th National Executive Committee meeting of the People's Democratic Party. In attendance were party executives called from the 36 states of the country, including the Federal Capital Territory. Party leaders admit the crisis in the PDP, but insist those perpetrating the crisis will not be allowed free rein to go about their actions.
The past weeks have been defining moments in the history of our party. The PDP has once again been confronted with challenges that test our internal cohesion, our commitment to constitutional order, and our collective resolve to remain a credible national platform for democratic governance.
It is important to address the unfortunate and disgraceful action of Mr. Kabiru Tanimu Turaki SN, who lead higher talks to disrupt the 103rd NEC meeting, damage party properties, and assault members of both BOT and the NEC members. His conduct was primitive, reckless, and wholly unbecoming of any party member.
The Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, criticized the faction of the party led by Tanimu Turaki for violating several court judgments describing the action as irresponsible. He condemned their recent action regarding the expulsion of several members, including himself, saying that no one will chase them out of the party.
From 1998, when the party was formed, I was the author of the management. Mahatma Gandhi was the senator under APP. He came to be a minister because of doctrine of necessity. Shema Kendra, my younger brother, he was an SDP. And then when he came to the money, how can those who met me in my house? Who met me in my house? Do not drive me out. I will never back.
The party elected a transitional national caretaker committee as recommended by its board of trustees, pending the conduct of its national elections at a proposed date in the future. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uni.
Well-rounded, well-covered by our Abuja Chief Bureau, Amadine Uyi. But joining us for this conversation, we do have PDP members. Andrew Enatome joins us, and Mark Jacob, former National Legal Advisor as well of the PDP, joins us this morning to have this conversation. So I'd like to say welcome, distinguished gentlemen. Thank you for being here. How do you feel now that you know that you have another convention approaching? Are you excited? Are you happy? Is this something you're looking forward to? And what does this mean legally? Because we just saw a convention that was held just a few weeks ago, and then this is another one. I'm going to start with you first, Mr. Andrew. Please go ahead and share your thoughts.
So much. Good morning, Nigerians, and good morning, viewers. I think this is the moment that the People's Democratic Party have long been waiting for. You couldn't understand that the People's Democratic Party is a party that is built on law, that is built on regulation and constitutionality. We respect the rule of law, we respect constitutionality. We don't toy with that. A party that is built on constitutionality will always do everything within its reach to ensure that it is governed by the rule of law. You have to understand that you cannot be against law or constitutionality and expect the law to people. It doesn't work that way. Now you can see calmness are returned back to PDP. There's peace of mind. There's peace right there in PDP. People are coming back home for the fact that we did what is right by ensuring that we exhaust the time of the last NWC, then inaugurate the caretaker committee and give them 60 days notice so that they can prepare for the convention effectively well. So that everybody, because we don't want to be caught unaware in a situation where, okay, you went to do a kangaroo, we don't call it convention, it's a get-together party in Ibadan. Now you look at what the annex, we look at what the state high court said yesterday in New York. It said that INEC have been delisted from the plenty part of the to being part of the suit. So you can see peace is beginning to return home. Most of the people that were in that get-together they did in Ibadan yesterday, a few weeks ago, they were in the NEC meeting that was held, the 104 NEC meeting that was held, because that's the property to be done. Now, after the 104 NEC meeting was, since the time have elapsed, caretaker committee have been set up that is going to properly transmit 21 days notice to INEC in preparation for the authentic convention. Because if you don't do what, see, one thing I keep on telling people, when it comes to law and constitutionality, forget about emotions. I am a full stakeholder of the People's Democratic Party. I'm a senior staff. I'm an in-house person. I know what is right. So many things are at play. You know the problem we have with PDP. People come out here, they come to deceive Nigeria, they come to deceive the gullible follower. But we that are in-house, we know what is going on. We're just being, you know why most of them are angry with some of us? Because they understand that we refuse to play to their gallery. That is the truth. Let's remove emotion. Because you don't like weekend in the morning, but in the night, you come to weekend and meet weekend in the night. You don't like Ayahu in the morning, in the night you come to meet Ayahu in the night. These are the deceits that is angry some of us that have reputations and names to protect.
Sorry, who's coming? Sorry, you said, Mr. Andrew, you said somebody's coming to meet somebody at now. Who is this person?
No, I don't need to mention name now. This is politics. You have to understand the way this game is being played.
So are you saying the other faction are coming back just like the man met Jesus at night to discuss, not wanting people to see him? Is it?
If you look at what Ayahu said in that last NEC meeting, he said, look, as far as People's Democratic Party is concerned, as far now this one for NEC meeting has been successfully held, letter will be transmitted to INEC officially for giving them 21 days notice. Then definitely everybody can return home. Their sins have been forgiven. No matter what, this is the only few people cannot become member of the People's Democratic Party. We need everybody. That's why it is called People's Democratic. The party belongs to the people. That's why there is an open door. No matter what they do. In fact, I'm telling you, if you watch those videos closely, there were some key stakeholders in that Ibadan gathering they did that came for the NEC meeting because they understand that, look, it's a normal thing in politics. There must be division, there must be issues, there must be quarrel. But now that we are trying to follow constitutionality and what is right. Of course, we have to reconcile everybody. We wouldn't say because, okay, you people abused us, or you abuse this, you abuse that, you go to Ibadan to go and do what is right, they will not chase you away. No, it's not done anyway. Every crowd, everybody must be carried along. So that's the what is right in there to be done. That's the essence of this Kerika committee that will prepare for the convention effectively well. And everybody will be carried along. Everybody. If at that next meeting, there were governors that were seated inside the house that you are not aware. They just didn't come outside. I'm beginning to, although I've been in this system for decades, but every day by the many things are becoming real and becoming new to me. So you're going to see what will play out in the coming days. You know, it's becoming more interesting to Nigerians, and this is the way it should be done. And this is what our elders actually.
Let's bring in.
You remember vividly when the reconciliation committee recommended.
Let's bring in the former. Mr. Enatome, let's bring in the former National Legal Advisor for the People's Democratic Party. You've had you've heard Mr. Enatome speak about this and share a very, very detailed perspective. But let's find out if you share the same sentiments, especially because what we saw earlier was that there was a convention that was held, amidst multiple court judgments for and against the holding of that convention. So, Mr. Mark Jacob, what are your thoughts regarding the latest updates within the PDP?
Very much for this opportunity to participate in this discussion. Let me start by saying that it's a pity that the party is being taken for a ride by a handful of people who congregate in a room and claim to be taking decisions on behalf of the party. It is shocking that anybody can say that that group of people that you can count them, they are not up to 30. It is shocking that anybody will say that that was a NEC meeting. I am a member of NEC, and NEC is statutorily composed. It is not appointed. Nobody appoints NEC members. You are either a former president, a former governor, or a sitting governor. You are either a senator or a principal officer of the Senate or the House of Reps. You are either a speaker or a principal member of the House of Assembly under the party, or a former national working committee member or a BOT member. So nobody appoints NEC members. I saw in that short clip people who are not members of NEC sitting down to say they are holding a NEC meeting. If there was a NEC meeting in a room in Abuja, when we do NEC meetings, you can't do NEC meeting in a room because it will contain the numbers. We normally do it in a big hall that will contain the number of people. For instance, former NWC members alone are over 40. So and that is just one component of the members of NEC. The members of the Board of Trustees are more than 200, and they are members of NEC. The members of the National Assembly, members of the House of Assembly under the party are members of NEC. This meeting you are showing on your screen is a composition of people who are not at all statutorily part of NEC, of the PDP. And let me say very clearly that there is no faction in the PDP. You have a handful of people that disagree with the majority. Yes, it is allowed for them to disagree, but they cannot have their way. I feel sad that people who ought to know and who are supposed to be decent in their approach and in inventing their grievances are engaging in self-help. If you are very confident of the cases you filed in court, go back to the court. If someone is in contempt of any court order, it is not your position to come and find him guilty of contempt and take steps to correct him. Go back to that court and declare before the court that there is contempt. The orders of the court were not obeyed. And let the court decide and give sanctions. It is not for any of the parties to engage in self-help. Now, when it comes to issues of caretaker committee or whatever committee, who is constituting a caretaker committee for PDP? It cannot be a composition of 4 out of 21 people whose tenure has lapsed, coming together with other people who are selected by a sitting minister in the government to hold a meeting in the boardroom of the FCT and take decisions and appoint themselves as members of NEC and or BOT members and even a BOT chairman. Besides the man who read the speech as chairman of BOT, how many other members of BOT were in that meeting? They will not spell out. And I think this is what the journalists should now engage in. When you say you are speaking on behalf of BOT, can you give us the names of the members of BOT that were in attendance? Like I said, the statutory members of BOT and NEC that we know are more than 200. How dare you go and sit down in a room, 15 or 20 of you, and say you are talking on behalf of NEC? We are statutory members of NEC. You cannot exclude us from a discussion. And you want to present it as our decision, discussion. It's not correct. And the journalists should insist, let's see the names of those you have presented as having attended the meeting. Let nobody be camouflaging under the camera to just use generalized terms. BOT mate. Who's BOT? Do people know the composition of BOT? Former presidents under the party, former principal officers of the National Assembly. Look at those faces. Is any of these people a member of BOT? Any of these people, has he ever been a member of BOT? So you cannot usurp the functions of existing organs of the party. Wike is not a member of BOT. So in what capacity was he chairing the meeting and even making statements? So this joke should stop. This kind of trivializing politics in Nigeria must stop. And I don't blame them, because our process of recruiting party or leaders under the political party has been bastardized. When I hear people screaming that they were the people sustaining the party, I wonder, we were in PDP before some of them became anything. And I can say with every sense of responsibility, I was National Legal Advisor 2007. Where was Wike? Wike was a local government chairman. He was not even qualified to attend NEC meetings of the party. How dare he begin to tell us that he owns PDP and that whatever he says must be done? How? On what basis? And if he says he financed or he funded things, other people funded him, for God's sake. He was local government chairman because somebody made him a candidate. He was a commissioner or the chief of staff or something like that because somebody appointed him. He became minister because somebody under the PDP appointed him. So when people talk as if they just grew up from nowhere, they became something, the party is rubbishing has made him what he is. For God's sake, let him spare us these dirty details.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Mark Jacob.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mark Jacob. I'd like to bring in Mr. Enatoman into the conversation. You did hear the former National Legal Advisor of the People's Democratic Party faulting the composition of that meeting that took place yesterday, that those that sat there don't even have the numbers to make up the BOT and the National Executive Committee of your party. So any decision that was made at that meeting yesterday is null and void. How do you respond to some of the issues you raised and what I just mentioned?
Former NLS, he wasn't there, he was not there. You know, I was there live. I was in Ibadan as well, you know, so I've been, you know, I'm always I'm facing the media space, and I don't come on air to, you know, to discuss a situation I don't have a concrete background of, or that I'm not fully
but can you address some of the issues he raised?
Yes, that's what I'm addressing. Now, you said people that were there are not core members, apart from the BOT chairman. I'm happy I acknowledge the presence of the BOT chairman that was there, which is Mao, because the previous BOT, they still have a lapse, so we have a new BOT now. This present picture you're showing, this is when they were doing the inauguration, as in trying to do the composition of the caretaker committee. Your media houses were present during the BOT meeting, because the BOT meeting started by 2 and elapsed by 24 or 5 before the NEC commences their meeting. So him saying that the places that were there are not all members of BOT, so you can't expect the BOT secretary to be begging them. When you're a member of the BOT and there's an announcement that there's going to be a BOT meeting, you're expected to be there. The former NS should have been present in that meeting, because it was an open meeting for the BOT members and for NEC. So him not being there, I don't think anybody should be blamed, because he would have been there. I believe if he was there, he would have been more convinced than, because I see this one thing I always want people to understand. Like, if you have issues and grievances with the party, I think it's always important you get yourself involved in the meetings of the party, or print of the party, so that you can resolve those issues amicably. You share your thoughts and opinions with different group or different organs. Okay, why not let's do it this way? You remember when we had issues, I always watch him on air, and his analysis most times always, I feel, is one-sided to some extent, because I remember there was one interview on NLS. Granted, he seems to be very, very much sympathetic to the Makinde fashion, which there's nothing wrong with that. But there was a question that was thrown at him, that the Makinde you are sympathetic to, that you're working for, allegedly, because you're sympathetic to his fashion. Makinde was a full member of G5. He was, in fact, he was the leader of G5 underground, because he was from the Yoruba fashion. So he was practically the one championing the G5, giving the directive of what to do. How come Makinde is not the one that is a saint? He dodged that question. I remember they asked him that question, whether on channels or on your station or arise, I can't remember very well. So these are the things we're talking about. There is really no cause for alarm. There is no need to argue too much. He is a lawyer and he understands perfectly well. That's why sometimes it baffles us that legal luminaries, the people that should know better, are the ones trying to put emotions to replace the law. It doesn't work that way. If let there be 1 million people on the side of one person, and the law is on the side of another person, the person that the law is on his side, the person will win. There is no emotion, there is no sentiment. When it comes to issue of legality, when it comes to issue of constitutionality, the law will come to stay. Now, we talked about the case being in court. Of course, it's in court. We're waiting for the appeal court, but the party cannot be stand still. The party cannot be stranded. If you look at the proceedings of the last 104 NEC meeting that was held, it was clearly stated that this caretaker committee, within these 60 days, they should ensure that the remaining congresses are held properly. Of course, the Southeast already had their zonal Southeast stakeholders meeting, and they've inaugurated their ESCO. So the Southeast zonal ESCOs have been concluded. So the part of the mandate that was given to this caretaker committee within 60 days to ensure that all the congresses that have not been held in the various states, to ensure that all the congresses are held, to ensure that reconciliation is properly adhered to, carry everybody along. Even the people that are going to Ibadan should be carried along if they so wish. Of course, National Secretary have already said the floor is open for everybody. Their sins have been forgiven. Let them come home. Let us build this party together so that we can conveniently tell the IG that, oh, we've reconciled our differences. And the court have given judgment. Okay, let the party secretariat be open so that operations can commence. You understand? So, but being that as is made, the party cannot be left stranded. The party must move on. That was the essence of the 104 NEC meeting, setting up the caretaker committee to run the affairs of the party, for the next 60 days, depending on when we conduct the legally accepted convention that INEC and every other faction will recognize. That was just the essence. So it's nothing, there's no sentiment, there's no story about it. If you are not doing the right thing, there's no emotions. It's not nobody's fault. Nobody should be blamed. The meeting, BOT meeting was properly constituted. You are fully aware that the last BOT, their tenure have expired, have elapsed. So a new BOT have been set up since, and they've been neglected. They have been in operation, and they've been very effective. And the party cannot dispute that. Even the Turaki-led faction, they know that the Mao-led administration is the BOT organ of the party right now. So that's why if you notice, they are not even faulting the BOT. They know there's a BOT in operation. There is a caretaker committee in operation. So there is no need to argue. We are one big family. PDP is one family body. Now look at what Osun State is passing through. Are you happy about it? Nobody's happy about it. This is just because of ego of some people. If they had allowed what is right to be done, Adeleke will not be stranded, right? Adeleke is radically stranded. So are they happy about it? That's the question that we should ask.
All right, Mr. Natome, sorry, I just need to cut in. But are you fine with what we see, where you have your party members who are also supporting the current party, APC? What does that do for your party? Is that a positive thing? And do you think that will all go well with the other members of the party? Because if you say they should come together, they are saying that it doesn't make sense, because you cannot say you're a member of the same party, but you're working for an incumbent party. So hence why they want to be on their own. I'd like you to answer that very briefly so that we can give more time as well to Mr. Jacob. Go on.
Government of national unity is being held. When Jonathan was there, he picked people from other political party, NGO, and the rest of them to ensure the reform his government. So supporting the government of national unity for the purpose and the advancement of the country is not a big deal. After all, the Turaki went to visit Niger State Governor and APC Governor. What do you say to that? Turaki have been visiting all the APC leaders on the ground. What do you say to that? So let's not be sentimental about this.
Mr. Andrew.
You call yourself the Makinde national chairman, but you want to go and visit an APC governor. Okay. So you want to go and play loyalty to an APC governor.
Okay. All right. Okay, Mr. Andrew. So, okay, Mr. Natome. So in your summation, nothing is wrong. All right. Let's give the floor to Mr. Jacob, so he can go ahead and share his thoughts on or react to some of the things you've said. You can go ahead, sir. Mr. Andrew, please just hold on. All right. Go ahead, sir.
First of all, I would prefer to talk law, not rambling and jumping over issues. Look, Article 31 of the PDP Constitution spells out who is a member of NEC. And for me, any discussion, anybody talking about NEC meeting must show that those who attended that meeting in Wike's conference room are the statutory members mentioned in Article 31 of the PDP Constitution. Otherwise, it was just a jamboree. That is why you see those who covered the meeting keep concentrating on the high table, where you have just a handful of people, and then they black out the other people. Now, secondly, BOT. Nobody convenes BOT. BOT have their own mode of convening meeting. It is not done by a minister. No matter his status, no matter his influence, a minister cannot convene BOT meeting. They have their chairman, and the chairman of the BOT today is Chief Adolphus Wabara, former Senate President. These are not people that you toy with. You call them and give them tasks and tell them to sit down while you talk. If there was a BOT meeting, we shall see Adolphus Wabara. If he doesn't know, he should ask questions. And people should ask questions. There is no offense, no crime in trying to know. We are not saying that people don't have the freedom to disagree. Look, we have 36 states in this country, with Abuja 37. The entire chairman of the party, 35 5 of them have held a meeting and endorsed the Turaki-led leadership. They were there in Ibadan. I participated in the accreditation process. I know that Sokoto State and Jigawa State were the states that absented themselves from the meeting in Ibadan. So, principally, you have majority of the state chairmen and their members attending the convention, exercising their rights, and taking decisions. The BOT has not expired. It is a fat lie. The BOT is functioning, and they know it. So, and nobody, no minister is qualified to invite them to his office. Because some of them have been ministers before this young man became anything. He can't command them, he can't direct them, he can't model up with them. And he knows. What that is reading speeches written for him. He's not a member of BOT. So how can we appoint him as a chairman of BOT and he will agree? He's not a member of BOT, ab initio. So he cannot even ascend to the position of chairmanship. So the truth is, we have 4 or 5 people disagreeing with the PDP leadership. It is their constitutional right to disagree. But they are not a faction. They do not operate outside Abuja. Go to all the states. There is no faction in any of the states of the PDP. Let them move out of. Let's see them do things in other parts of the country. They don't exist. There is no factional party office in my state, for instance. There is no factional party office in Plateau, in Kwara, in Niger. There is no factional party office. The only place we have a problem is in Abuja, where a certain FCT minister is using the powers donated to him by the federal government to disturb our operations. But this is not going to be for long. We shall overcome him. And we know that the law abhors a vacuum. And that is why we held an election where the current or the former NWC was dissolved by the convention, the highest decision-making body of the party. The convention took a decision and dissolved that National Working Committee where Anyao and 3 others belonged. That convention dissolved them and immediately swore in Kabiru Turaki so that there will be no vacuum at the expiration of the tenure of the then existing NWC. That tenure expires today. And so Turaki became functional from the convention. And like I said, that is the highest decision-making body of any political party. In fact, that convention can set aside even the constitution and take decisions, and they will be binding on all members of the party. And as I sit here, nobody has challenged the veracity and legitimacy of the constitution. Nobody has also challenged the sacking, the expulsion of people. They are not going to court. Rather, they are engaging in self-help, taking the law into their hands. You went to court to ask for certain reliefs. You wanted to have orders allowing you to set up a caretaker committee. The court said no. You will be heard on the 14th. You have disobeyed that court. Everybody was ordered to remain in the position. The status quo was supposed to be maintained. You have run ahead of the court to go and appoint a so-called caretaker committee. And you want to talk about law. Which law allows you to overreach the court? When the court has said maintain status quo, you ignore the order and go ahead and implement your own orders. And you still want to talk law. Which law are you talking about?
But what if the argument there is, I mean, there were 2 court orders. There was the court order in Abuja, and then there was the court order in Oyo State as well, that gave them the go-ahead.
Yes. And that is a problem in Nigeria. When you have orders from courts of coordinate jurisdiction, a party or an individual who is confronted with 2 orders from the same court or from the court of coordinate jurisdiction is left to confuse himself or to choose which one to obey. And he will be right. If there are orders, in fact, the party who has the order to proceed with what he wants to do will be correct to proceed because there is a valid court order authorizing him to proceed. Particularly again, when you look at existing superior decisions of the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, if the decisions of the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court support the position of the court that says proceed, you'll be right, you'll be correct to proceed. And I guess that is what they did in Ibadan. When the High Court said proceed, they checked the decisions of the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court and realized that the Supreme Court has continuously said that party issues, party meetings, party decisions as to administration are entirely the internal affairs of the political party and that courts should not interfere. When it comes to selection of leaders, when it comes to discipline of members of the political party, when it comes to membership, who is a member of the political party, the courts have consistently held that these are the internal domestic affairs of political parties and that the courts have no jurisdiction to interfere. So when a high court jumps into the fray and begins to make orders in respect of such issues, the courts are overstretching their jurisdiction. Those courts know very well that they are issuing orders that cannot be obeyed and that cannot be upheld. I'm happy anyway that the issues are going to be ventilated in the superior courts where these decisions exist. And we shall get there very soon. So we are not in any way preventing people from disagreeing with the decision of the majority. It is their constitutional right to disagree. But a situation where they will say that because they didn't have their way, everything must collapse, it's absurd. And it's unknown in democratic tenets.
Okay.
You cannot say that because you lost the argument or you lost to the majority, everything must collapse. And that is what Wiki and his gang are doing. That because 4 of them who were members of the NWC could not convince 15 others to agree with them that everything must collapse. That is not democracy.
Thank you, Mr. Manchek.
Democracy, that people will have their say, but the majority will have their way. And that is what is playing out. A situation where a sitting minister will be working to say that the PDP should not present a candidate for election in 2027 simply because he's enjoying being a minister must not be allowed to happen. You cannot dictate that, and no political party should accept that kind of dictation. That you tell us, members of the PDP, that we should agree that we will not present a presidential candidate in 2027. That is the only condition you have for peace.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mark Jacob. I would like to bring in Mr. Enatoman back into the conversation. Now, Mr. Enatoman, next year is a penultimate year to general elections, and all other opposition parties are they have started preparations for 2027. Every other day, the PDP seems to be hemorrhaging members. Just earlier this week, we saw the defection of Rivers State House of Assembly members, 17 of them, to the ruling APC. What is the way forward, and how do you think the People's Democratic Party will resolve this present crisis, in your opinion?
What we want in PDP is peace, reconciliation, harmony, unity, because that's what PDP is known for. But first, let me just take it little by little. Adolphus Wabara, first of all, have been expelled from the party at the world level and at the state level. You know vividly well, the same Adolphus Wabara that former NLS is talking about went to endorse Labour Party candidate in Abia State. Adolphus Wabara is the member of Labour Party candidate because he has endorsed Alex Otti. So that is the person you are calling a BOT member. Somebody that openly came out and said, in Abia State, this is the person that we're going to endorse. So definitely in Abia State, a so-called member of BOT doesn't have a candidate in Abia State, and he called himself a so-called member of BOT chairman. These are men that have never won they don't even win election. But we know, of course, the transactional leader that trades with PDP, he has never won election in Lagos State, not even a councillor in Lagos State. So most time we don't take all these old men sometimes serious. We just respect them because they have the wisdom of the elders cannot be overemphasized. So that's why we just give it to them. But you cannot say because you're an elder, you will not to take the young generation for granted. It's not fair. I have traveled, you know me very well. I have traveled around the 36 states more than 3-4 different times with the PDP convoy. Because all we want, because we understand the strength, the weight, and the power of this party, and the love we have for this party. So we put our life on the line. We've done everything. We don't even stay in the AC or stay in the office. We move around every nook and cranny of this state. 2027 is still coming. We're still going to travel around the whole federation. Every ward, every unit. There's no state we have not been to in this country canvassing for PDP, preaching the gospel of PDP. So one man cannot stay in Abia State and endorse a Labour Party candidate, and he's having the guts to tell me that he's a PDP BOT member. It's not done that way. We are not kids now. Let's not take ourselves for granted. This is not fair. Now you're talking about Wike having his own people. Now what I'm making it as single-handedly appoint, you come to my region to appoint. I'm a leader in my region. This is Paulie we're talking about. You come to my region to appoint members for me in my own zone where I'm sponsoring. You don't spend money in my zone. You don't spend money in my region. Then you left Southwest. You come to my own zone to come and appoint my own leaders for me. It's not done anywhere. You can expect me to fold hand and you are putting sand in my eye. You said I should not talk. Do you know what these guys are doing? You cut my hand. I said it's paining me. You said no, it's not paining you. You say I'm bleeding. You call the second one. I said please stop now. You say you don't have the right to talk. Keep quiet. Obey whatever I say. I'm protecting my two legs. Why you doctor? You are protecting my two hands. You are protecting my two legs. You said I should run. That's exactly what you do. What these guys are trying to do. You can't ambush me to the wall and you expect me not to fight back. What are you talking about? That one governor sit down somewhere and is able to muzzle some certain group of people and use to influence other people because he's a sitting governor. These guys have questions to answer when they're out of office. They should understand they have few months to wait. They will soon become former. Then all the atrocities they've done, we will bring them to the table because these are the people that have actually destroyed this party. And it's quite unfortunate that, you know, when poverty has been weaponized, that's the way you see it. That one man can sit down somewhere and influence so many people because he's a sitting governor. No, that is not done. That will not be acceptable by we, the young people of this party. We cannot allow them to destroy it because their time is already getting lapsed out of the seat of power. So we must take this party back in our hands. Back to the question that you said. Okay, let me finish.
Because of lack of time, I would appreciate if you go straight to the question on how to resolve this crisis and the way forward.
The only way we can resolve this party is these guys should come down from their high horses. The likes of Allah Muhammad that are doing everything possible because they want to retain, they want to set the corridor of power, they should stop all this thing. They should stop using this party by trade by barter. That is one thing. First of all, they should be sincere in their approach to reconciliation. The likes of Saraki have said, reconcile this party, let's come to reconciliation. These people time have a laugh. Let the Kenya committee set up so that we can properly put everybody together and be on the same pedestal. Let all the litigations in court, let everybody stay out of court. Let's finish all the congresses in the various states. Let every zone be carried out. You cannot marginalize some certain people because you are angry with them. It's not done. Look at the so-called end of year party that they did. Because of the people you are angry with, you dissolve the ESCO in their state and in their zone because you don't want them. How do you want peace to come to the party? So if former NLS can be sincere with the Makinde fashion, it should tell them that, look, for us to actually move this party forward, if we want peace to reign, there's a need for you to allow the start. If you said this coach will remain the same, it shows that let the end of the EC led by Ayahu maintain the structure to the tenor have a laugh and let the caretaker committee take over the affairs of the party and conduct a proper convention, ensuring that congresses are done, states that are having issues are being reconciled, all the litigations in court are being withdrawn. That is the only way peace can reign in that party. You cannot put stand in my hand, get my two legs, and tell me to run, and I say, I will not let that happen. I will not see, if I tell you what it did, what is going on in that party, we don't want to let many things out of the bus. They think they can do some things and go scot-free. You start to telling people because they are not in alignment with your atrocity. When the time comes, some people more you don't know what is coming ahead.
All right, Mr. Andrew. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're out of time. We'll just pass the time to Mr. Jacob. Please, you just have 1 minute, just to tell us what the way forward is for you. Way forward as we look to wrap up.
The BOT exists, the NEC exists. Anybody who has any grievance has a duty to go and ventilate his grievances through the proper organs of the party. Nobody should take the law into his hands. Nobody, again, can threaten anybody. You are saying, one young man is saying that we don't know what is coming. There is nothing you can threaten us with. The law is there. We have a national leadership in place, properly put in place by the highest decision-making body, organ of the party, and nobody is going to shut out. We insist that if you have grievances, and the courts have also said that when you have grievances, you must ventilate your grievances within the party structures. You can't go out. You can't even go to court. Those grievances are internal. If you were shortchanged in any meeting, you have a right to go to the organs of the party and complain and insist that the organs of the party address those grievances. You don't run amok and threaten people and use self-help to accentuate your grievances. It doesn't happen. That is not part of civilized democracy. That is part of brigandage. It should not be allowed in Nigeria's democracy.
Thank you so much for your time. I want to say thank you, gentlemen, for speaking with us, and thank you for availing yourselves to speak with us this morning on this nagging issue concerning the PDP. We look forward to have you again, maybe separately or together. We do not know, but time will tell. But thanks. Thank you so much for joining us, and do have a wonderful day. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, the front pages of the newspapers will be up next. Stay with us.
Hello, welcome back to Breakfast Central. It's now time for our newspaper front pages, where you have the opportunity to join in and share your thoughts with us on any of the big stories you want to comment on. Join us for analysis this morning is Mr. Dotmojo, public affairs analyst, just fresh from the federal capital territory, Abuja. The last time we spoke with him, he was in our spanking brand new studio.
Sierra,
so it would be nice for you to share your experience
in the heart
with us.
of the federal capital city.
The seat of power.
Yes, and one of the things I've said before in this studio is the fact that New Central actually represents what leadership should be in Nigeria. in the last one couple of years, I think News Central has actually transformed broadcasting.
Wow.
And I'm really, really proud to be part
Thank you. I wish I had my ID card here. I would wear it the way Donald Trump wore his FIFA peace prize. To be so proud of this organization. But let's get straight to business. We'll start off with the new Telegraph. Let's try and make use of the time we have. They say make hay
while the sun shines.
Hey! You guys are so predictable.
Who are these men? Oh my goodness.
The headline says, insecurity, US, Nigeria agreed to dismantle terrorist networks, address target killings. We can start from that. Mr. Ojon, haven't seen this. We've seen a delegation of US congressmen come to Nigeria for fact-finding missions. Does it mean that the United States and Donald Trump's threat has fizzled out, that threat of coming in all guns blazing will not happen, and that we've managed to deal with the situation? What's your response?
I think the threat has yielded some positive results that a lot of people are happy about. I'm particularly happy that I'm seeing the commitment of government beyond the campaigns for 2027 that I've always complained about. You cannot have this kind of crisis and politicking will swallow governance. And I think that that threat, as absurd as a lot of people think it was, has been able to put the government on their toes. And I'm seeing that this engagement will further produce more results. And like I've said before, that the problem we have is commitment. We don't have problem of currency. We have enough money to fight terror. It's just putting this money where the money should be. And beyond committing it to security is to ensure that when you commit it to security, that people, the money-carrying members of the military are able to also utilize the money judiciously. I'm happy the fact that we can engage, the fact that they are coming, is going to lead to further engagement, and engagement will lead to action.
You said they put them on their toes. Are they really on their toes? Because the reality seems to be different. If you're on your toes, your defense minister, your Minister of State for Defense, will not be observing Lesser Hajj in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia when they're still kids in the bush. As
okay, so the concept,
we to pray now.
Yeah, the concept of
non-kinetic means.
The concept of religion is a bit very different in Nigeria, and that's why we need to be very careful. There was a governor who came out to say the other day that for us to be able to defeat banditry and terrorism, we just need to pray. And a lot of people criticize him, but in the mindset of an average Nigerian, what we were taught in religious practice is the fact that prayer can cure everything.
Prayer is the key.
And that's why God created a tree, and man is praying for chair, instead of man to just bring the tree in and saw it down to make a chair. So we have a faulty religious mindset, and it's not about whether you belong here or there. We are all affected by it. Fine, we can do all things, but I think God is alarmed at some point because we rely on him to do some of the things that he has given us the capacity to do. So it's just a general religious mindset. Call it 40 and you will not be wrong.
Okay, let's still just to mention that we're taking calls. We're opening the phone lines. If you'd like to call and share your thoughts on, or your opinions or comments on any of these stories, the numbers to call are on your TV screen. You can also go to our YouTube, where we're streaming live via our page, News Central TV Live. We're still looking at the front pages of the paper. Maybe I'll take a few more on the New Telegraph and then we'll move to another paper. Wike's caretaker committee contempt of courts, according to PDP. SANU threatens strike over marginalization, unpaid 50 billion allowances and other. Oh man.
Everybody has one.
Strike everywhere. You look to the left, NAD is striking. You look to the right, SANU is striking. You look to the back, ASU is threatening strike. Okay.
So I think there's a philosophical saying that the way you do one thing is the way you do all things. And in Nigeria today, there are too many voices of uncomfortable voices of people who think that they've not been rightly treated. And so when you're talking about ASU is getting some amount of money. SANU is saying, where's my own? The non-academic staff union is saying, where's my own? So until we get to a point where certain percentage, reasonable percentage of us believe that Nigeria is fair to us as a country, we'll continue to have some of this strife. And the best way to get to that point is for those who lead us to lead the kind of life we lead, to go through the kind of pain we go through, not to tell us to tighten our belt when they live in opulence. So these are some of the conversations that we need. It will not make sense for somebody to teach somebody in the university, and the person you have taught has not done anything significantly more than what you have done, and the person is taking home the kind of money some of the politicians are taking home. It's not in terms of salary. It's in terms of cutting corner to ensure that you get the process of government to come, the product of the process of government to come directly to your pocket. So I think once we address it, or if we fail to address it from that point, we continue to have voices here and there calling for strike, even when we are praying that our people can just do their 4-year course in 3 years.
All right, we have a call from Benue. Dele is calling this morning. Tony. All right. Good morning. Thank you very much for calling from Benue State this morning. Please go ahead with your comment. We seem to be struggling with Tony's audio.
Yeah, we can't hear you clearly, Tony.
Okay.
Not so clear.
Tony, you might have to call us back.
If you can call back, we'll appreciate that. We can't hear your call, unfortunately.
Anyway, let's move on to another story.
But let's take a good news, before we move on to another paper. On the front page of the New Telegraph, good news. Nigeria's foreign reserves hit 6-year high at $45.04 billion.
The good news is, how does it translate to the ordinary Nigerian on the streets?
Yeah, the good news is the fact that when we were in leadership and personal development classes, they always tell us, save money, save money. And at the point we kept asking them, we have saved money. What is the point that we must get to as an individual before we know that, we want to enjoy the money that we have saved? And they told us that at least you must be able to save your 6-month salary. In case anything happens to you at your workplace, you'll be able to at least pay yourself reasonably for 6 months. That philosophy is also for nations. Nations must be able to have what they call a foreign reserve. It's like a buffer. It helps the economy. It helps, number one, the confidence of investor in your economy. Number two, it helps your currency. What we are having today is not a good thing. I was reading the 2026 budget, and I'm alarmed that we are going back. Our projection is that naira to a dollar is still above 1,500. It is not. We should be having something like 1,200 at this point. But these are the work of foreign reserve. And the good thing about it is that in the last 1 year, this government has been able to take it reasonably up. And that's why I think it's a good news. Okay. Now, in 1999, when this democracy came back, Obasanjo met it at $5.6 billion. He took it to $51.9 billion before he left power. The man that came after him, what's the name of?
Goodluck Jonathan.
Before Goodluck Jonathan. Yar'Adua. Met it at 51.9. It was not so good. It came down to 40 billion. Jonathan took it from 40 billion. It came down to 29 when he was leaving, it was 29 point something billion. Owing to the fact that, and this is why sometimes you need to be careful about the kind of people that lead you. There was excess money, and there was this excess crude account that was created. We were thinking, people like us were thinking at that point, instead of having this excess crude account, there should have been a legislation that says that every money we got from this excess crude oil should be put back into our foreign reserve. But that did not happen. Governors were on the neck of Jonathan to ensure that they share this money. And at the end of the day, they shared the money. Our foreign reserve went to 29 billion. And you know why a lot of people are not even keen on saving money? I'm going to cite, I'm going to cite an example of Anambra. Peter Obi, in my own opinion, did not do too well in terms of infrastructural development when he was governor. But he did well in terms of saving money. But you know, the man that came after him did not also do well in terms of infrastructure, but he did well in terms of stealing money. And the case is in EFCC. He took all the money down. Peter Obi left reasonable amount of money. He took all the money. So any government that comes on board now is not even keen on saving money because they don't know the rascality of the man that's going to come after them, whether it's going to just take all the money. That's why we think that to have grown it, because bad or good, when Buhari was leaving office, we had $36 billion in our foreign reserve. Now that has been moved to 45 billion. I hope that they will continue in this direction. I hope that they will tighten some of these their loose policies that will make this directly benefit Nigeria. And one of the ways to do this is to ensure that you back your currency to a point of stability. As we have now, as we are now, the naira is still not stable enough.
How about the loan factor? Would it not affect it? Because we are also borrowing at an unprecedented level.
Now, it's one thing that I don't understand, honestly. And the bad thing about this foreign reserve also is that when your foreign reserve is going up, people have confidence in you and they want to give you more money. Yeah. So this government now have access to borrowing more money. And they will come on television and say, oh, we have met our revenue target. We have met our revenue target. When you are not MMM. If you have met your revenue target, what are you doing with all of these loans? And Nigerians are not even concerned about the loan. The fear of Nigeria, honestly, I'm not concerned. Because we still have the capacity to borrow more money as government. Yeah. But the fear of people is that when you borrow this money and it goes into private pocket, how does it mean that my children will come now and will pay for money in another person's father's pocket? That's where the issue is. So we should drive our economy in a way that, like you have said, we should not concentrate just more on the figure alone. We must pay attention to the feeling of the people.
All right, let's take a caller. We have a caller who's calling us from Abuja. Caller, hello, good morning.
Okay, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Udo. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Thank you, Mr. for giving us the time to speak to you. Very exciting analysis of Nigerian policy. I don't know whether you talk about it to impact you. I don't know whether you're talking about that. I want you people to discuss that.
We're struggling to hear you, though.
Sorry, we just might have to see if you can call back again. We're struggling to hear you. We hope that it's not a network connectivity issues, even though we know the telcos have had issues this past weekend. I don't know who has experienced it, but please try and call us back if you can, please. I think I was asking the question, but let's go to another paper. Nigerian Tribune. Now, this is a big one. Insecurity. Miners tackle northern governors, reject call for ban on mining. When the northern state governors met last week, part of the communique mentioned that there should be a ban on mining for 6 months. They traced the mining to the heightened insecurity that you find in the northern region. Yes. And we've also heard rumors, Mr. Dr. John, you'd agree with me, there are rumors that there are people who come from other countries who come to take over. In short, one of the foreigners went ahead to put a video up on social media, especially on TikTok, and that video trended where he was showing where he was somewhere in the north, and Nigerians were saying, oh, wait, oh, wow, this is the same place where you have killings and insecurity, but you're flying in and flying out with helicopters. Yes. He did a full video. I wish I had saved that video. I saw it like twice that same day. And you were doing your business. You have the northern children mining and so on, and people were like, wow, how pathetic this is. Now, the northern governors have said, listen, we think it's high time we put a ban on mining. If we do, they believe that it would strongly bring an end to insecurity. But here you are, miners. Miners are tackling it and saying no, they don't want.
Okay, so across Africa, our blessing has become a burden. If you study the history of growth in Africa, you see that anywhere some of these natural resources are found, you always see conflict, you always see fight, you always see all of that. But the truth is this. In Nigeria, we have also identified the fact that there's a strong link between access to these mineral resources and access to funds that is backing terrorism. So, in other words, what that means is that terrorists have access to funds because they have access to these mineral resources. But here is the issue. If you ban mining for 6 months, you have given a direct certificate of operation to bandits to operate. What do I mean? If you say everybody should leave site, the legitimate miners will leave site. How do you ensure that the bandits don't come to mine? Because the problem we have now presently is inability to secure our land. So when you say you are banning mining for 6 months, the legitimate miners will leave.
You're throwing away the baby in the bathwater. But let's take this call from Jonathan from Imo State, not Jonathan Hansen. Thank you. Hello, good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead and make a contribution, please.
My take is on this minus. How much is the government the has to be formed to prove how much that Nigeria gets from this money is not? Because crude oil price is this priority. How much does the government of Nigeria get from this money? How much do this money? This is one of the reasons this is the one who wants forest intervention so that they will not be exposed. What do with the money? What there? I don't the points. Which are issues the government should address. This is last time. Against they are against the government. This is all the miners who are doing, and we are at this point.
Thank you.
All right.
I do think that there's a bit of an issue with
yeah. I think he was asking how much does the government get from this mining and so on. That's what I was trying to highlight.
But is the mining sector not highly regulated? I mean, you have mine ranges even that have been constituted by the Ministry of Mining with Mr. Dele Alake as the minister there. So why do we have this knee-jerk approach that you have to throw away the baby at the bathwater?
Okay, so the same issue we have in the Niger Delta, when at a point almost half of the crude oil that we're supposed to have access to in Nigeria gets into barges and ship and leave our country, is the same problem we're having. Now, what the miners are saying is that before you shut down mining for 6 months, please ensure that there's security, so that you are not just driving legitimate miners away and giving room for bandits who have access to gun to have access to some of this site. So it's still a security question, because for us to be able to guard what we need security. For us to have security in Nigeria, we need security. So the question has always been, what is the capacity of Nigeria to be able to secure Nigerians? And I know that if there's ban on mining for 6 months, it can improve the level of our security if the sites are secured. But we have enough men to do that. The soldiers that are supposed to protect our territory, they are in Ikorodu there. They are in Ojota here, Mountain Road Block. What are they doing there? Because now the policing system has almost become a joke. So until we have all of these people now in the Niger Delta, do you know that there are, and I want to be very careful, but the truth is that there are waterways that Navy cannot get to. Waterways that have been practically and tactically condoned off. They've been given to private individuals to secure. What does that mean? It means that we do not even believe in the capacity of our men to be able to secure our waterways. It's the same situation that we have. Instead of private security now to be guarding VIP in our community, private security are guarding our assets and infrastructure on our waterways. So it's still a big question of security. And it's my honest hope that we're going to get it right.
Since we're talking about security, I want to talk about a story which is an absurdity in the southeastern part of Nigeria. Typically, when you hear of insecurity, you hear of attacks on security officials, government agencies, but this time around, it's in a church. On the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, gunmen murder pastor's wife and raise house vehicles in Anambra Church and kill 4 in another community. If you go into the details, the wife of an Anglican church pastor was killed on Sunday morning when gunmen attacked St. Andrew's Church in Isiokwe in Anambra State, southeast Nigeria. Isiokwe is a community in Lilu Town, which is under Ihiala local government area of the state. Reports have it that the attack happened in the early hours of Sunday. One of the residents said the gunmen appeared to have targeted the pastor, identified as Venerable Obiese. He escaped, but the gunmen shot his wife dead and burnt down his house and vehicles. The residents who asked not to be named told they shared this too, but this time around it was I'm reading it from the Premium Times. They also burnt church vehicles and other properties. They obtained a video clip recorded after this deadly attack, and the clip showed how the pastor's house was completely burnt down, at least 2 cars and a motorcycle. and I don't know how to feel about this. Now, there are also reports about the same community where last year, no, it wasn't last year, it was in 2021, where a Labour Party candidate, Obi Oragbasilo, who was a Labour Party candidate in the Anambra State gubernatorial elections, he was kidnapped. Until today, they are yet to see him. We hear also in that same community that there are residents who have fled in the heat of attacks by hoodlums who took over the community in 2021.
I mean, 2021, this is 2025. It keeps popping up. What's the Anambra Police Command
the Anambra State
doing
Police
about
Command,
this?
Yeah, I mean, so far they've, according to the report here, Tochukwu Ikenga has confirmed the latest church attack. He said the Commissioner of Police in Anambra State has condemned, again, the deadly attack. The Commissioner sympathized with the families of the victims as well as the community and assured the police in the state will track down the attackers.
Our police system is overwhelmed in Nigeria, and we move from one trouble to the other, and we think that we are able to solve the problem. One of the things that I've said before is that virtually every community now have people who are bought into crime as franchise. And from the report you read now, maybe one of the things that caught my attention there is that nobody is talking this time of Fulani bandit or herdsmen. It tells you that it could be something within the area, within the community, within the state. So it's what we have said before. I was reeling out figure the other day when the IG withdrew men from VIP protection. And I was saying it here, that in Chicago Police Department, they only have 11,000 men.
400.
Yes, men, if you remember.
Yes.
And they are able to partner with the federal agents, and they are able to protect their community. So this underscores the need for us to take community policing very seriously. But we cannot replicate this failure that we have in our policing system. And what do I mean? Replicating system like this kind of welfare that we have, we cannot replicate this system of when you are only strong when you have something to benefit from it. So insecurity has become a challenge. And like the president has said, the state government must rally themselves in a way where they have to think out of the box. If the former governor of Ondo State did not champion the issue of Amotekun, by now it will still be on paper. But Amotekun is not the best of security this thing that we have. But they are doing a lot. And we are hoping that with the start of Amotekun, as time progresses, that they will get things right, and they will get more ammunition, and they will become better, and our community will be safer. But instead of you sitting down and saying, oh, we need a legislation in Abuja that will spell it out expressly, that I need to create state police, you must think outside of the box and know how to rally your community to defend themselves. But they can't do this. Majority of them cannot do this. Why? Because they are example of leadership failure. And you cannot continue to replicate and reproduce leadership failure and you think people will kill. It's enough. We cannot continue to wish people who didn't die in peace to rest in peace, because in actual fact, they are not resting.
That's a word. We can't continue to wish people who didn't die in peace to rest in peace. Yeah. That's really, really sad.
Anyway, I don't know if we can quickly just look at our final paper. There's so many stories on Nigerian Tribune, so many that we can touch on. But let's just, for want of ensuring that we finish the dailies, Daily Trust is our final paper. On the front page of the Daily Trust, 17 agencies scored 0 in efficiency rating according to report. Troops kill bandits, rescue victims in Sokoto. And then the big one, 7 women protesters killed in Adamawa.
So obviously there's been a fight between two communities, and some of the people just felt that the military took side and the women were protesting. And in the process, the report we got is that they opened fire, and 2 of them died instantly, and later on 5 other people, and a lot of people were injured. And it brings the question as to where do we need these men, really? What do we want them to do? You know, this is the same question people were asking when the military, and this is very sarcastic, but I'm going to say it, when the military announced that they took over power in Niger Republic, and Nigeria intervened so quickly, and according to ECOWAS, Nigeria was able to help them restore peace as quickly as possible. That's the duty of ECOWAS. But Nigerians didn't find it funny that if you can restore peace so quickly in Niger Republic, how come you couldn't enter Sambisa Forest? And the truth is that there are explanations. There could be cogent reasons why they cannot do this. But Nigerians did not elect anybody to give reason. They elected people to give results. So there's no amount of reason that we will give until we see the result on the table. Nobody is going to accept that you have done anything. So I'm listening to government. I am saying reason with them. But the truth is that we didn't vote anybody to give reason. We just want the work done. And thank God the president have even come out at a point and said, you gave me this job and I'm going to do it.
Don't feel pity for me.
Don't feel pity for me. So it's the one that gave me the template of any kind of criticism that I extend to him. Because he told us not to feel pity for him. What I'm saying in essence is that we shouldn't get to this point of military shooting at people if really we have deployed them to more serious assignment. There shouldn't be a point where military will go and be two fighting. You know, we call it two fighting.
Separate fights.
Yes, you now go there.
To de-escalate fights.
Oh, you remember? You remind me of my pastor.
Pastor Odumeje.
Pastor Odumeje, you want to do what? He said you have this big problem. I said speaking big grammar. I think that's the problem we have now. We have big problem and our people are going to separate fights.
De-escalate fights. We're almost out of time, but if we can quickly squeeze this in. Court declines Nnamdi Kanu's request for prison transfer. Nnamdi Kanu is seeking to be transferred from the Sokoto Correctional Center to another custodial facility closer to the FCT, and Justice James Omotosho refused the request, stating that Kanu's application moved by Legal Aid Council of Nigerian lawyer Demdo Asan could not be granted by way of an ex parte motion.
Shall I be factual? There's nothing that we make them grant our request, because every conversation about Kanu now, the first thing they talk about is national security. And you know, even there was an argument as to when your right as an individual conflict with national security, which one takes the bow. And at every point in time, there's been that conversation that anything that stands side by side with national security must take a bow. So since this conversation revolves around national security, they may continue to apply, but I do not see any of those applications pulling through. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
On that note, we wrap up the show.
And you know, we cannot wrap up without me giving a shout out to our virtual audience.
Wait. It's time up.
Benga, please.
I really wish we can.
Just
I wish we
very
can have
quickly,
6 more hours.
Mokuye Chukwemeka says, Dotun, we did not give Tinubu the job, please. Okay. We also have here, he still goes ahead to say, thank you, Benga. How does the foreign reserve hitting an all-time high translate to the ordinary Nigerian? Borrowing more to do what? Pius Amako, he said more votes for bandits as Kanu mobilizes. Okay, I don't know about this one. You know what? We'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. We're out of time, but we'll see you again tomorrow, and we'll ensure we'll make more time for our virtual audience and to take your comments. But thank you, Dr.
And thank you, Mr. Dr. John, for coming back to Lagos.
We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.